Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Creek and Cave for Dark Spots. Please put your hands together for Nate Fritz and Allison Simon and Shane Torres.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming out on a Saturday night.
Happy New Year. Thanks for coming out, guys.
You're awesome.
Thank you. That's great. Very polite crowd. I like that. I dig that.
The compliments
great.
one at a time is better
Yeah,
for us.
for sure.
Round of applause if you've been to this show before, everybody. Round if you have been to Dark
All right,
Awesome.
right
That's
up
great.
front. The splash
There we
zone.
go.
You guys know what's up.
Hell yeah, this is great. So for those of you who haven't, this is Dark Spots. It is it's going to be a stand-up comedy show, but we're going to focus on dark material tonight. We're going to focus on dark subjects or dark material,
Which we always do, but
Every month it gets real sad, but it's also really funny. We're gonna have a great time laughing through our tears. Tonight's theme is accidents. So we've got a wide variety of accidents here for you tonight from some of our favorite comics all across the city. You guys are gonna have a great time.
yeah. And this is Allison Zeidman. That's
Hello.
Nate Fritz.
Hi, I'm Nate Fritzen.
I'm Shane Torres.
And that's Shane Torres in the middle. How about a round of applause for us for doing this? Busting our humps.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Shane has a story about how an accident has affected his life.
Yes.
So-
That he would like to share.
Yes. So this
So
is.
please, Shane.
Please,
Yes.
The floor.
We'll all give Shane our
Mind
full,
you, I am-
our full attention.
I have never told this story to anyone, so this will be a good time to try it. Okay. As you guys can tell, I have a very athletic build, and when I was about 10 or 11 years old. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. About 10 or 11 years old. The coolest thing ever happened, and that was that Emmitt Smith had a football camp at the University of North Texas, and I desperately wanted to go. It's just, I mean, like, play on the field, stay in the dorms, lift weights, coolest fucking thing ever. But the thing is, it was very expensive, and we were very poor, not unlike a lot of great athletes, and so we didn't have any money. But my mom knew that it was very, very important to me.
And she was probably also like, this is his only chance at ever getting to go to a college, so.
Thank you. I went to college.
You know,
God
pay
damn it.
$300 now or nothing ever.
No, Shane did go to college after just 5 short years of Texas public school.
Okay.
He went straight to college.
Anyway, that's actually true. I took 5 years.
Hey, we are all thinking GED, so that's
This is
still better
very
than
good.
everyone else.
Moving forward, so we didn't have the money, but my father, he's still around at this point. He decided that he would sell some of his vinyl so we could get the money.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's sweet, right? It's probably more like my mom made him sell it. Just like I imagine it was something like my dad just be like, "Come on, Katie, that boy couldn't catch a cold, let alone a goddamn football." And she was probably just like, "Just sell those albums that other girl gave you."
Yeah, it's a ballsy move by Pops, going through all of his records and pointing out to your mom which ones his ex-girlfriend bought for him. I respect that.
I think it's ballsier, though, to ask your parents to pay for an expensive football camp when you have zero athletic talent.
So I'm very good at Madden.
Real bold little boy.
Anyway, moving forward, okay? My dad sells all his Beatles albums and whatever else, and he gets some money, and he spends some of the money. He spent some of the money on the fees for the camp, but he also bought me like a bunch of I looked sharp. He bought me like a bunch of workout clothes, like sweatpants and jerseys and cleats and shit. So it was the idea was my dad was just I remember he got the bag of clothes and he just goes, "All right, son, look good, play good." I was like, "Yeah, this is I don't have a lot of moments with you, but this one's nice."
It's actually play well. I gotta say that. Point that out.
He just said his family's idea of looking good was wearing sweatpants. So I don't think they're that concerned about grammar over there in the Torres household.
No, we wasn't. All right, so moving ahead, camp day comes, right? First day of camp, and from the moment I get there, it is very apparent that I am the slowest, fattest kid at this place. I know. Like every other kid in this place is like already a multi-sport star and has 3 Division I scholarships. And I just like playing football.
Ooh, could you do that like a little more southern for us, please? Could you give it like, I just liked playing football.
The punting and the catching and the throwing and the sidelines.
I gotta go to my notes. You guys are fucking me up so All
I'm
right.
sorry, this is a really interesting story.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I'm at the edge of my stage. Whatever we're doing here.
All right. You guys,
About to jump off.
Right.
But here's the thing: is like there are other fat kids, and I like was like, I'll buddy up to these guys, and they were like, they were incredible athletes. They were agile. They were so strong. One of these kids, I swear to Christ, there was free time, so you could play other sports. And this one little butterball, he's 12 years old, and he dunked a basketball. It was
Wow.
fucking nuts.
Took time off of one sport to play another. He's like a little preteen Michael Jordan. That's,
Yeah.
Oh no, Shane, is this an accident story about how you accidentally murdered that kid's dad?
What?
That's like the only other fact I know about Michael Jordan is that his dad was murdered. Aside from playing basketball. Sports Zone, up here! All the facts, all the time!
Murder's next month's thing. He was also in Space Jam, and he owns a prison, if that
Okay,
helps.
2 more. I'll add that
Both
to my
of them true.
notes on
Fuck Michael
MJ.
Jordan.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so first day, that's just the morning, right? And then by the afternoon, they're doing like individual drills, and every kid in this place is throwing footballs like Dandy Don Meredith, and I am laying an egg like Craig Morton.
Fun sports references that are super hilarious because I get them. I got both. Of them.
Yeah, I love sport. I don't even get those references.
Did you guys hear those references?
Was that what you were doing at the camp? Were you throwing that around? It's like no wonder you didn't have any friends.
Yeah, is that like
Why are you talking like that?
I didn't have any friends because I cried a lot.
that sounds like shame.
I had a lot of emotional stuff still.
Things never change.
Yes, that is true. We'll see after the show. But I remember, like whether you like sports or not, one of the best things about it is that you see a value in work ethic when you do it. And so I remember I was laying in bed crying. And so my roommate was just like, oh, this fucking, of course I get the one done in this place. I was laying in bed, just like bawling my eyes out. And I'm like already ready to go home. My parents spent all this money and just like, you can't, but I was like, not a quitter. So like I make a goal, and that goal is that I will not quit, and I will just work as hard as I possibly can. People might be better than me.
You need to start a slow clap. Sorry, it's just so inspiring. I'm sorry.
I know. I forgot that about all your athletic scholarships. So I make this vow that I will just not be outworked, right? And the next day I get up and I have like this like breath of energy, and then the saving grace of this place happened that morning, and in 2 words, that is breakfast buffet. I gorged myself and look, here's the thing, I don't recommend carb loading on grits and pancakes and sausage every morning before you go and do hitting drills and run stairs. But this is a thing. There was something else here. I'm sorry, guys. They're hurting my feelings so much I can't. So I just keep doing this buffet. And look, this was not the first time I had started eating my feelings. But this is where I began to lose the war.
Well, you miss 100% of the buffets you don't shut down yourself. So,
That one was almost so funny it didn't hurt my feelings. And that's hockey, Nate.
Well, Nate's like a multi-sports reference athlete, kind of like Michael Jordan, and also.
Yeah.
I just want to finish this story!
Also, Nate was in Space Jam and his dad was murdered. But go on, keep going. Those are the only 2 facts
Weird
I
that
know
that out
about
2
Nate.
things you know about Michael Jordan.
but they're both true. Fuck that guy.
Well, now I've learned a lot.
Michael Jordan. And oh, you're a Pistons fan.
Yeah, you're right. You're goddamn right.
All right.
Whoa, okay.
Sorry.
All right.
All right, so pretty much for the better part of the week, I am doing this at, what? Hey, bearing my soul up here. Can I get through this before I go take one bullet?
You can't afford a therapist.
Yeah, I cannot.
Indulge him.
So for the better part of the week, I am just carb loading on 6,000 calories a day and coming in last place in everything from the 40-yard dash to friendship. But you know, this like all these calories are keeping me company.
Well, you know, a 6,000 calorie diet would be enough to keep 3 people alive, so technically that is company. I mean, that does count.
Real cozy, sounds good.
Or kill just one, really.
Right, yeah, just kill one person.
All right, we're coming to the important part, the accident. God damn it, I can't believe I'm about to say this shit. So, last day of camp, more failure, more food, more failure. And then they announce, that there's going to be an awards ceremony after dinner for people with outstanding players and outstanding effort. And the second one, I'm like, yeah, that's me. And so I decide after dinner I will go down to the stadium early and reflect, as every great athlete does in his career.
Is this like the beginning of your 30 for 30 for competitive eating? Because in that case, it's like so inspiring. Oh boy.
I know.
Let's get a nice montage
You wait.
going.
It's gonna get so bad. So I do the same routine. But this time it's like Salisbury steak and okra, just all the stuff. As soon as you put it in, comes right out. Like it's the same fucking thing. And I do it. I eat all this shit. And then I go down the stage about an hour before anybody else, and I'm just like sitting in the bleachers, just like reflecting and thinking and farting.
The real sports stadium.
I would love that. I would love that image. Just like welcome. Two.
And the crowd goes wild.
Moving forward, as I'm sitting there reflecting on my glory days, on the gridiron. That's what they call the field in football.
And it's also where they do like pancakes.
That's the gridiron. That one I know for sure. God damn it. But so I'm sitting there, and I get like this little like a flicker in my stomach. Yeah. And I ignore it. I'm just like, no, force this moment to happen, like Occupy Wall Street or something, you know. And what? Like you know, Occupy
And
Wall
here's
Street.
where it gets political.
And if elected, no,
We're gonna be doing the.
no, like I was like sitting there trying to force a moment to happen emotionally, like you know, like when you watch Occupy and people be handing cops roses, and you're like, that already happened, fuck off. I was doing that, but I was 10, so it's a little better, you know.
Yeah.
And so this flicker, I cannot ignore it anymore, and it becomes a full-on, I have to evacuate like an orphanage on fire. It was, and so every step I take down these stairs is like a tiny little punch in the stomach. And this turtle's head is already poking out of the shell. You know?
That's so disgusting.
Yeah. And by the way, just as I'm doing this, who should arrive? But every other football, all the real ones are starting to show up. And I can't hold it anymore. And just... And it was more liquid than solid. And I'm panicking because I see all these guys and they're not to me yet. And so I have to freak out, and my only thing I can think of is I take my sweatshirt off. By the way, no t-shirt underneath. And
Ooh.
yeah.
Ladies.
So like, shitting your pants is one thing, but doing it in a football stadium filled with a bunch of alpha males named Chad is the beginning of some very dark revenge fantasy.
Oh, it's your school shooter 30 for 30.
He was the greatest marksman in all of Texas.
Alright, let me
Okay. Go ahead. No, please. Bask in whatever this is happening right now. Really
I'm single. So I freak out, I rip the sweatshirt off and just tie it around my waist, and as I'm walking by, like and hoping no one just knows no one notices the secret shame that has been unleashed.
So your solution to like getting past all these jocks was to hide the shit in your pants by making them think you just got your period.
You became a woman that day.
They already thought I was one.
Well, that's a real insult.
What an insult.
Oh,
That's
boy.
a
Are you guys ready to start the show?
Yeah, I just got through this. Come on, goddammit, let us hear it!
This is a safe space. People are going to share. See, Shane just opened up. Wasn't that great what Shane did?
Yeah, give up for
Shane
Shane.
just opened up. That story comes from a terrible place inside him.
We have such an amazing show for you guys
Very
tonight.
excited. Very,
Up
very
first is one of my favorite comics and pals. You can see him every Thursday hosting comedy as a second language. He's so funny. Give it up for Scotland Green!
Yes! Which mic is better? They were so mean to Shane, weren't they?
Yes.
Like to see Fritzen under the microscope. Right? See him tell a story where everyone's mean to him. Well, I thought that was gonna get me carried out of here a hero. How you guys doing? Everybody feeling dark and sad? Yeah. Where's my sad people at? Yeah. All right. Good to be here. It's good to go first. These lineups are all very calculated. You know what I mean? They're like, let's not put a snooze up first. Let's put Scotty Green up. Which leads me to my first story. One time I was booked on a show, and right before I went up, I had to pee. So I peed. And then, you get a little spot. You know, like sometimes no matter how much you shake it, there's just a little spot. And so I had to ask the host of the show, I had to be like, hey man, I think it's possible for me to go up like a couple more people. I have this pee spot. I need to drive. Like, it's embarrassing. Meanwhile, I went around, I told every comic. I went on stage, that was what I talked about for my first minute. I tweeted about it. I could have just went up there to the pee spot and got an applause break. That's what I'm trying to say. And then I just start peeing myself right now. And you carry me out here. You guys like Zima? Remember Zima? Who remembers Zima? Don't raise your hand. Clap, make noise. You raise your hand in school and we're all too sad for school, right? That's my new catchphrase. Too sad for school, baby. Yeah, I haven't drank Zima since I got my tooth knocked out, which is the most white trash and true statement that I can possibly make. Let me bring you back. It was sometime in the 90s, I'm not going to say, because I'm not going to let you pinpoint my age. I was drinking Zimas in the good neighborhood. I was drinking with a couple friends. I was a third wheel at the time. I spent my high school years as a third wheel. I am probably the best third wheel on planet Earth. Any couples? Bring me in. Bring me in. I'll be there. I'll referee the arguments, and I'll be there for the good times. So I'm drinking with this couple, and we're drinking behind the Bocage sign. Bocage is a nice neighborhood in New Orleans where I'm from. It's where I would go trick-or-treating as a kid because my neighborhood was scary. And so we're drinking behind the Bocage sign, and then we go to the levee because that's where you go to drink more. And I'm switching seats with a buddy. He's getting out of the back seat. I'm getting in. I lean to open the door. He flings the door open. It hits me in the mouth, shattering my front tooth. and I was drunk, and I was kind of freaking out, and I felt it, and it broke my tooth long ways, like in half, long ways. And so I felt it, and in my mind, I was like, my tooth is sideways now. I have a sideways tooth now. And I was freaking out about my sideways tooth, and I was like, no. And then my friend, like, I was losing my marbles. They had to hold me, and he was like, let me see. No, you're fine, dude. You're fine. And I was like, no, I'm not. Lost my mind. And then I kind of got over it a little bit. I mean, I was bleeding and my root was exposed, so it hurt when I breathed. But I was 14, and I was like, Mom and Dad are sure gonna be mad at me. And so I call up my mom at 1 a.m. and I was like, hey Mom, I got a little dental problem. It's not too bad. I kept saying it's not too bad. Meanwhile, I had to go to the dentist for like the rest of my teenage years, like every other week. It'd have to be another thing because it's this tooth. And so they had to do different things every other week. I had multiple fake teeth. The first one that they put in was blue. Yeah. You know how all the cool dudes have gold teeth? Well, not anymore. Now they're blue. It was like I had like a blow pop, except like I only rubbed it on one tooth, the front one, the one everyone sees. So I had that for a little bit, and then they put in a better fake tooth, one that they matched the proper shade of yellow, you know. But to keep it in, I had to have braces, but not a whole thing of braces, just 4. Just 4 little braces. Like regular braces, people are like, okay. 4 braces, people are like, what's wrong with you? What happened? But my dentist loved me, of course, because my parents gave them a lot of money. And so I was big man, and I was like Norm at Cheers, except it was the dentist. They would give me the gas just to get my teeth cleaned. I was like, I'm gonna get high, go to the dentist, get my teeth cleaned. A weekend. And so this fake tooth held in my mouth. It stayed there for about, it held till 2 weeks before I moved to New York. Yeah, and I moved 3 years ago. So it was like 2 weeks before I moved here, old fake tooth started to stink. Started to stink a little bit. It started to get loose. And I was like, I should probably ignore this. I gotta move. Then it really got loose, and I was like, I gotta get this taken care of. And so they were like, okay, you have to get surgery, because turns out the tooth that they made me, because they had to dig all this stuff out and put a post in there and build a tooth around it. They built my tooth on a shattered tooth. So it was loose. It was like an Indian burial ground. And so I had to get all this surgery and stuff. And then to get my real fake tooth, it was going to be a month later. So I had to move to New York with no front tooth. Yeah. And just so you can see how white trash I was when I was a kid, can we show the first picture of me as a 14-year-old with a missing tooth? Yes, my hair is bleached. Yes, I don't know, some of you more eagle-eyed audience members can tell that is a House of Pain shirt underneath. Yes, I was jumping around. The next one. There you go. That's the boy that we all love. So that's cute. And then let's do the third one. Let's see what I look like when I moved here. That is my true form. That is what I want no one to see. So I moved here with no tooth, but they said, don't worry, Scotland Green, you won't look like a freak. We'll give you this retainer that you'll wear that has one tooth on it. It's called a flipper. Isn't that nice? So I wore this thing, and it gave me a big old lisp. And I was like, oh, that's what's been missing this whole time in my comedy career. You know, it takes a long time to find your voice. Oh, mine is a lisp now. Yeah, get rid of that. That makes me so sad. Was there one other thing with that? Didn't get too sad. I feel like the other people are going to be so sad that I have to be like vain sad. You know? Oh, you know what else I forgot to say? Remember when I talked about going on stage with a pea spot? Yeah. That's a literal dark spot. I really thought that was going to do better. I thought you were going to carry me out of here. Hey, I've been Scotland Green. Thank you so much, guys.
Scotland Green, everybody! Oh God, we're just gonna keep this thing a-rolling. Who's ready for some more? Yeah. Let's get that energy up. Come on, who's ready for some more? Welcome this next guy. He's so funny. He's Funny or Die. He's featured on the list. It's Funny or Die's 30 Comics Under 30. He's hilarious. Please welcome to the stage, Sean McCarthy, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, so, well, yeah, what happened to me was this last year, 2015, I got hit by a car on my bicycle, or as the insurance company put it, I attacked a car with my bicycle. I was riding my bike in Brooklyn. I get hit from behind. Knocks me under the car. Driver keeps accelerating, so I get dragged for like 3 to 5 seconds. And the cops asked her later why she didn't stop after she hit me, and she said she was scared. I just can't imagine what a traumatizing experience running me over was for her. Having to watch helplessly as a 120-pound man is flung underneath your 2-ton Chevrolet SUV, possibly to puncture your tires with the pointiness of his bones. So I'm laying in the street, and like three guys literally, they run over and like literally lift the car up off of me. You know, exactly what I was about to do. And so if you get hit by a car in New York, all your medical bills are covered by the car insurance company, no matter who's at fault. It's called no-fault insurance. At the time, I didn't know that. So I'm laying there in the street, and this guy comes over and he's like, hey man, it's going to be okay. The ambulance is on its way. And in my head, I'm like, those are expensive. Like, there's got to be an Uber driver who owns a tarp around here. Do that. It's like, I'm not desperately poor, but I'm poor enough where I think of an ambulance ride the way I think of like jet skiing or paragliding or a European vacation. Like maybe if I work really hard, I can do it once before I die. Because, you know, as you all know, in most of the, well, that's like, because that's a near-death experience in America. Your first thought is like, thank God I'm alive. And then your second thought is like, I don't know if I can still afford to be alive. Because, well, as I said, as you know, in most of the rest of the world, they have what's called single-payer healthcare. That's where, even if you're poor, the government takes care of all your medical bills. Whereas in America, we think it's a better idea to ethnically cleanse the poor. Let's be honest about it. It always reminds me, like, I have some friends who would get sick, like they get cancer or something horrible, and they have to set up a GoFundMe page to help out with their medical bills. And it's kind of surreal, because like a lot of my friends are on Facebook, they're like comedians or other artists. So like my Facebook feed, the GoFundMes I see, it's like 50% like, hey, help me make my cool animated film about Yetis. And then like the other 50% is like, and at the $10,000 level, I get to watch my children graduate. Stretch goals. Graduate school. Well, based on your reaction, I won't do the even darker tag. No, you guys. Oh, all right, sure, fine. I succumb to pressure easily. But did you know in America more than half of all bankruptcies are caused by medical bills? So that always makes me think about like just some family like sitting their kids down and being like, "Hey, we're really sorry, Steve, but you're not going to be able to go to college because Sarah here just had to splurge on medication. But don't worry, you actually wouldn't learn nearly as much about yourself in 4 years of college as you'll learn in 4 years of watching your sister battle leukemia." I guess it's called Dark Spots, so I'm in the right show. You write those jokes, you're like, will a real audience like them? And you're like, sort of. Okay, but so I did get in the ambulance. I went to the hospital, and at the hospital they make you get naked so they can make sure you're not bleeding out of random places. But here's the thing, I had masturbated the night before because sometimes an attractive girl likes your status update and one thing leads to another. Is anybody else the kind of person who'll spend like a good 20 minutes trying to find a picture of somebody on Facebook to jerk off to, but then also tell your friends you don't have time to hang out because you're just so busy? That's relatable, right? Please like my page on Facebook. But so I brought that up because I'd hurried out of the house that morning, like I had a quick shower, so there were little specks of tissue paper still on my penis. Because sometimes you don't do as good a job cleaning your house when you're not expecting company. I had it in my head like, no attractive women are going to see me naked today. And then it's like, oh, they're called doctors. The doctor goes to me like, is that a growth on your penis? And I was like, which answer makes me look less disgusting? So I'm laying in the hospital bed, and they bring in like these medical students to like observe you and stuff. The med students were all like really nervous, like, you know, I imagine most people are on their first day on a job where you can kill people. But so the medical students are there, and then the doctor comes back and is like, hey, I forgot, I need you to lift up your scrotum so I can check under there. And then in the corner of my eye, I see this nervous-looking med student reaching, and I'm like, yeah, I got this. Like, I'm not a smart man, but I think I figured out the scrotum lift. Don't act like I didn't have an Eminem poster on my wall growing up. But so I had like road burn. I didn't have any broken bones or anything. I was very lucky. I got discharged from the hospital same day. I called up a lawyer because I wanted to file a personal injury lawsuit against the woman who hit me, and I told him the truth, which is I didn't have any broken bones, but I'm in a lot of pain. I missed a couple weeks of work. And he goes, in order to sue for personal injury, you need what the New York courts define as serious injury. It doesn't sound like you have that. However, if, say, a week from now you maybe remember something you're not telling me, you can always call me up and we'll sue. I don't know if you've ever heard somebody wink over the phone. That's what that sounds like. I knew I could have just called him back a week later and been like, hey, I forgot to mention, I don't really know if it's relevant, but I'm paralyzed from the neck down. been hard to remember since I woke up from that coma. It's weird to say, but getting hit by a car, for me, almost entirely positive experience. Like I said, I didn't have any permanent injuries. I got a new appreciation for life. I settled with the insurance company, so I got money. I got to smoke weed and play video games for 2 weeks while I recovered. Getting hit by a car was actually one of the best jobs I've ever had. Like they say, find what you love and then make money doing it. And then eventually you accept that you just love getting run over by things. I guess last weird little observation about this. I'm lucky. I read about this on the internet. A lot of times in China, when like drivers strike pedestrians, they'll actually back up over them and try to kill them because the liability is structured in a way where it's cheaper if you kill somebody than if you permanently injure them. Yeah. So it turns out there really is such a thing as being too good at math. And all right, hey, thank you very much.
Jesus Christ! Wow. Sean McCartney, everybody, let him hear it. If there's anybody you particularly love on the show tonight, what? Hey, in the middle of something. Like a movie theater, except this screen talks back and it will be really mean. If you see anybody in particular like or any of the comments tonight, follow them on Twitter. They can all really use the bump. So if you like them, follow Sean or whoever you may see. And with that being said, are you ready for your next comic? Come on, you can do a little better than that. You ready for your next comic? A very dear friend of mine, just a brilliant YouTube series. Please give it up for Miss Molly Austin, everybody. Let her hear it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I didn't piss my pants like a pussy. I got hit by a car, just up top. No, I'm sorry, Scotland. I didn't mean that, actually. I take it back. But I did. I was in a car accident in April of 2015. I was in California on the Pacific Coast Highway. If you've never been there, it's a highway and it's on the Pacific Coast. So it's on the beach and people park and they go to the beach. So I was on the end of a line of cars waiting for a car up here to parallel park to enjoy their day. Probably the best day of their lives. And I was with a friend of mine named Eric and we were stopped right behind another car. We'd just gotten fresh sodas. Fresh. And I heard all of a sudden Eric go, "Oh shit." And I looked up because my mind is, what happened with the animals? I love animals. That's what, I was like, there's a bird up there. There's a bird up there who needs our help. And what happened next was a slow motion, it was like a movie. All of a sudden, Eric's glasses, in slow motion, were going across my eye line. And I remember thinking, that's weird. And I saw them hit the dashboard, and then I felt in very slow motion the car begin to go up and go down. And I was like, this must be an earthquake. I'm in California. I'm having an earthquake right now. Turns out, I guess accidents just go in slow motion for some people. What was really happening was that a man at the fresh age of 95 had come around. Not a sharp corner, like he had tons of visibility. But he'd come around a bend, like a wide, like a fat ass of a bend. And had hit us going 70 miles per hour. And our airbags didn't come out. And Eric saw it coming. That's why Eric said, "Oh shit," right? Old Ma looking for the birds. So I went super far forward until the seatbelt caught me and we hit the car in front of us. And then I snapped back. And I hit my head in the particular spot that makes a girl very sassy. So Eric has to kind of shake me because I'm because I hit my head very hard, and I'm very out of it. And he has to shake me, and I kind of come to, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Maybe." Nobody knows. What was that, an earthquake? He's like, "No, we got hit by a car." I was like, "Cool," but then also bummer. And Eric gets out of the car, and I try to open my door, but the car has been hit from the back, and because we were parked or stopped so close to the car in front of us, the car's like a dirty tissue now, right? So the car is like, "Gone, girl, bye, girl, bye," right? Like, gone. And it was one of the best things. I kicked the door open, you guys. I kicked it right open. And I was like, "Sorry, fuck you, door." And I got out. And I was very, very disoriented. I remember being like very confused and very like not knowing what to do. And the cops came, the paramedics came, the firemen came. And here's what. On the west coast of California, the firemen and the ambulance drivers are fucking babes. Like big time babes. Like such babes that I was walking around and I was like, "You boys are hot boys! Boys are hot boys! You boys are hunks!" I told you guys I hit my head. And I was like, what are you, actors? What is this, the fallout of all of those soap operas getting canceled? You guys just making some sign money till you get your movie deal? And I was walking around on the side of the street like this, hitting on the people that were there to save my life. Just like a fucking cool ant. And I hear one of the cops who, by the way, side note, cops, not hunks. Not a hunk in the group. And you don't think, I had a little bit of a brain injury, but I noticed it. And I hear one of the cops go to my friend Eric, who's sitting down. "Sir, you need to tell your wife or your girlfriend or whoever this is that she needs to sit down. She could be internally bleeding, and God forbid I take a break from feminism." Right? I was like, "Can it just be Molly? You know my name, you have my license. And by the way, it's 2015. Can a woman be with a man unsupervised and not be his property?" But then I sat down. I said that. "Well, you know, when the LAPD stares back at you, you're like, I made a mistake." I know, close there into getting tased. And I sat down next to Eric. And we've been friends for over 10 years. And I sat down next to Eric, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and we had this like thick silence between us, right? And this like very intense eye contact. And he said, "I don't know what I would do if anything ever happened to you." But it was at the same exact time that I was saying, "Can you believe we're so old that they thought we were married?" To which he replied, "What is your problem?" But at the same time, I was saying, "Why are you making so much eye contact with me?" Because at the time, it felt rude. It felt like I had just, like when something like that happens, you get a very real front row seat to the screening of your own soul, right? Like you get a very like intense look at who you are very quickly. It's not, maybe for some, it's not always pretty. That's a general thing. I'm not, whatever. And I just felt like he was trying to like also look into it, like with me, and I hated it. I hated that eye contact so much. Like I hated that more than almost like anything. Like this is the thing I hate the most, right? When an elderly person gets onto the subway. And the moments between them stepping onto the train and then finding a seat. That's I'm just like, please sit down. Please fucking, like, please sit down. Like, this train is about to go, and I don't know what your legs are about to do, but I need you to sit down. And please just sit the fuck down. And if you are an able-bodied person and you don't get up for them, I hate you, okay? I fucking hate you. I hate you so much, I want to marry you, all right? And then I want to ruin your life. I'm going to marry you, I'm going to have your children, I'm going to load them up into the minivan, and then I'm going to drive them into the river, okay? Get up! Don't look into my soul. But Eric's right? Like, what's my problem? I almost died, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm worried about some cop thinking that I'm old. Could I be more of a result of the media make, like the attack the media makes on women? Do you know what I mean? Like how you just like constantly feel disgusting because of magazines? This is off topic. Should have just ended it with my hate speech. Yeah, I feel like that's the whole thing. I was on bed rest for 2 months after the accident. I will say this. I made a mistake. Because I was single and I got into a car accident. It's my bad. If you're in a relationship and it's bad, stay in it. Don't break up. Like never break up. Because you don't know when you're going to be in a 7-car accident on the Pacific Coast Highway. Like that's not a thing you can plan for. That's not it. And then you're on bed rest for 2 months. Sober bed rest for 2 months? That's a dark tunnel, okay? You need somebody there to hold you, and you can't go out and meet somebody new, because what are you going to say? Hey, my name's Molly, I like to nap a lot, and I like chew on my hair in my free time? No. If you have to break up, fine. But you don't let go of that initial relationship, okay? You hang on to it, and then you monkey bar your way into the next one. But you never touch the ground. Never let go, Jack. Never let go. All right, Molly Austin, thank you so much.
Oh, keep it going for Molly! So great! Oh my gosh. I'll tell you guys a little thing. I had a pregnancy scare recently, which like you can probably tell by that terminology, if it had been an actual pregnancy, I would have considered that an accident, basically. So I had a pregnancy, and like I don't know, I'm not ready to have kids at all. I don't know about anybody in this room. I'm just not ready for it, like emotionally, or probably like mature-wise either, you know? I still do a shot every time I have to change a tampon, okay? So like, just really not ready for kids. But I was late for my period, and like, I don't know, if you guys knew my sex life, it would be like, this pregnancy scare, probably not really that scary, you know? I just don't know what you're expecting, but I'm just like really on top of when I'm supposed to get my period, so, you know, I kind of look at it like a pizza, like here in 30 minutes, or your life is over. I'm looking anxious person to begin with, so I am really freaking out, even though it hasn't been that much time, you know. So I asked my boyfriend to go pick up a home pregnancy test, and yeah, he had to go. I was busy at home, like rocking in a corner and freaking out, you know. I couldn't do myself. So he goes and he brings home a test for me to take, and I take it, and it's negative. But then I noticed he brought home like a CVS store brand test. You know, like I might as well have peed on like one of those popsicle sticks, like the double ones that you break apart. It's a joke, is what I'm saying. So I sent him out to get another one, you know, like, and don't feel bad. He wanted to get like chips or something, you know. He was fine. He needed to run that errand anyway. So he comes back with chips and a second pregnancy test, and I take that, and that is also negative, but then, you know, you're confused, because like in math, a double negative equals a positive. So it's like, where are we at right now, you know? And again, like, I'm not really that stupid, but again, just like incredibly like anxious, paranoid person, and I don't have great in health insurance, but I was still like, you know, I will pay any amount of money for peace of mind, so I go to the doctor. I go to the doctor to go and like ask a doctor to give me a pregnancy test after 2 negative at-home ones. And like I explained this to her. I'm like, well, but you know, I take the test, and like they were negative, so I'm probably fine, right? And the doctor says to me, oh yeah, like come on, you're fine. But then she kind of tilts her head and she goes, or, you know, stranger things have happened. You can't say that. You're a doctor. Like everything you say needs to be backed up by facts and logic and science. You shouldn't have the bedside manner of a Ripley's Believe It or Not museum. It's just not fair to the patient. But I take a test in her office, and that is also, of course, like obviously, it's negative. And she says, okay, well, you know, you're definitely not pregnant, but if you're not getting your period, like we should run some other tests, you know, like make sure you don't have like a thyroid issue or anything. And I said, you know, is more tests, is that really necessary when we've already ruled out the worst possible thing it could be? Like, I don't really care if it's organ failure as long as it's not a child. I think I'm just good to go. And she gets serious. She's like, well, come on, what if something's serious? What if you have cancer? I said, well, as far as I know, no one's ever blamed or judged anyone for having an unplanned cancer. You just get like love and support and sympathy from your friends and family, and nobody has any moral objections if you're thinking about getting rid of it, right? I think it's great that speaking of abortion, that like women are being more open about having had abortions, you know, like in support of Planned Parenthood, but just with the overall goal of like, come on, this is like a normal thing, it's okay, people have had them. I also think though, we're probably only like 5-10 years away from it being extremely like a faux pas if you haven't had one, you know? I think that's where we're at. It'll still be difficult to get one, but not for like political reasons. You'll just need your friend to like get you on a list. It'll be like the cool, trendy thing, you know? And then it's gonna be harder to like prove that you're pro-choice, because somebody's gonna be like, okay, pro-choice, well, get accidentally pregnant and choose then. You know, that's my prediction. Happy 2016. You put up your beginning predictions. This next guy, probably not going to talk about abortion, so don't worry. He's going to be great. He's so funny. He's a writer for Comedy Central. You guys are going to love him. Please put your hands together for Tom Cow!
So I was having an abortion. Oh man. Who wants to hear about my weird dick for 10 minutes?
Yeah! I
said! Alright, you need to know 2 things about me for this story. One is that I'm originally from England. I don't care if you think I'm funny. Do not think I'm from Australia. That's my one fucking rule. I've lived here 10 years. People either think I'm Australian or just some new kind of gay. I'm also married. I married an American lady. We just had an anniversary, actually. We're having a lot of sex lately. A lot of sex. Yeah. We're doing both the positions. Both of them. Both. 1 and 2. Missionary. Can we do this on our sides? Because we both had a lot of cheese. Both of them. Both of the positions. All right. Okay. She's great. She's so fucking hot in America. She's half Israeli, so she has those like Israeli thighs. Any Israelis in the room? Get them? No, we're not. She has Israeli thighs. I don't know if you ever met an Israeli. She has Israeli thighs, which are like regular thighs, but they occupy a little extra territory. She is hot. She is so hot, and I'm kind of not that hot. I have an ugly dick. I have a really ugly dick. Any fellas out there willing to kind of stand up and tell their story about that? No, okay. Yeah, ugly dick, real hideous dick. I don't understand you guys sending pics of your dick. How do you do that? Like I have a my dick should be the star of no picture. You know what I mean? Like I have a dick for radio. You know? It's good. It's ugly. It's charismatic, but ugly. You know, like my dick is like Harvey Keitel. You know what I mean? Like it's hideous, but can't take your eyes off it. You know what I mean? It's great. All right. So, who here is circumcised? Clap if you're circumcised. All right. Cool. All right. Very happy. No women clapping. That's good. Good. I'm circumcised. But I was circumcised age 7. Yeah. That's yeah, damn! Yeah, it's a weird thing. Yeah, sometimes I say that and people ask me like, did you convert to Judaism age 7? Like I was a very thoughtful, scholarly child. Just read enough Talmud and was like, yeah, this is the truth. No, I did not convert age 7. I mean, who really wants to be in show business that badly? Like, I had a medical condition. Like, basically, I woke up one morning with like shooting pains in the tip of my penis, like agony. You know, there was blood coming out on top of it. It was awful. I rushed to the emergency room at the speed of UK medicine, like a week. Like, healthcare in England is free, so how good do you think it is? You know, how good is a free thing? So I rushed there, and I'm diagnosed with this medical condition. The condition is called a paraphimosis, and that means that the tip of my penis was too big for the foreskin I was born with. I'm not gonna lie, on a bad day, I just think about that all day. Like, my penis is really undeniable, you know, like it just really like burst free of its like it's like an Incredible Hulk dick, you know, just it's like it gets purple and angry and I think if you put a pair of purple cutoffs on my balls, it would look like, you know, like, oh, that's gonna ruin your downtown. Anyway, another story. So I had to be circumcised at age 7, and I don't know what this surgeon was doing, but he kind of didn't care about my dick. That's a weird thing to say about a medical professional, but he just didn't care. He did a horrible fucking job. This thing is covered in scar tissue and bumps and ridges. Do we have a picture? I'm not doing it. It's just this horrible Franken dick. It's just it's disgusting. So now, you know, cut to me being a teenager, like I have to show this thing to girls maybe, and like the first couple of them were like, what the fuck is this? You're 13, you have a disease already? What the fuck? And I'm like, no diseases. I think I got this at like 4 o'clock on a Friday. Like I think the guy just wanted to be done. He had tickets to something. You know what I mean? It's horrible. And then right after the operation, like, you know, you guys who had it, you were just babies, so you don't really remember the recovery process. Like for a month, my mother was putting Vaseline on the tip of my cock with a big like fluffy cotton ball on the top too, and just kind of like slowly working off the cotton ball until like I was all healed up. That's why my mother could push my buttons, because she rubbed my most important button, you know, for like a long time. So now I have this thing, like it's just, I have this dick that's like, I'm just trying to describe it to you without getting out my phone and showing you a picture of it. It's like, my dick looks like a house painter's radio. Does anyone ever work? Construction, you know, it's got like weird character on it, it's weird. So yes, I have like a powerful but ugly dick. It looks like a wrestler's finger. You know what the best thing about this story is? I finally have like a dick joke that nobody wants to steal. This has been really good for me. You know, like this whole night has been really good that I've shared this with you. Man. Now I can go back to Australia? I'm gonna murder you in the face. Like, I'm just gonna fucking kill you. Where are you from? India. India, okay. Well, alright, even.
How about a round of applause for Tom Powell? Holy moly. I can't remember a time I was more thankful to be a Jew. This is, holy shit.
Jew-Tang forever.
Jew-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with, that's right. Ain't nothing to kvetch about. Boy, guys, wow, what a show this has been. This has been really great. I was trying to think about like an accident. I don't really like. I'm like pretty much perfect, so like I don't like do accidents. That's why I didn't tell a story at the top. I think like the worst thing I've ever done is like one time I accidentally kicked a dog down a flight of stairs, and okay. We've heard a lot tonight. All right. This is, first of all, I said accidentally, right? It's part for the show. I didn't like line them up like I was kicking a field goal or something, all right? Just walked towards a flight of stairs, small dog crossed my path, my foot hit the dog, and it fell down the flight of stairs, and then hit a wall, and then got up and ran away unharmed. It was a small dog, like a purse-sized dog, you know. Really didn't take a lot to get it off the ground. I think any of you here could have done it. And I was at the top of the stairs after all that, eyes wide, laughing my ass off because the dog hit every stair on the way down. It was like a furry slinky. It was just adorable and sad at the same time. Look, if you did, you would have been laughing too. All right, that's all I'm saying. You might have been. There are weird, Sean was talking about the news a little bit, this will tie in, I promise. There's a lot of people I have noticed are very angry at the cops. They're having all sorts of accidental problems lately. A lot of people angry at the cops. I don't know, they've always been nice to me. I don't see what the problem is. Here's how nice the cops have been to me. One time I accidentally drove my car through a brick wall and they let me go. That's true. I Kool-Aid manned a wall with my car, and they were like, I was sitting in the back of the cop car, and the cop, he turned to me and goes, listen, I did a lot of stupid stuff when I was a kid. It made it really difficult for me to join the force, so just in case you want to be a cop someday, you're free to go. That's how great it is to be white. I don't know. Some of you guys owe your parents a phone call at least today. That's not even the worst one I've ever done. This isn't even my worst ever encounter with the cops. One time I was driving drunk the wrong way down a one-way street through a construction site, and the cop pulled me over and was like, "Buddy, you got to be careful out there." He actually said this. He goes, you know, you're driving like real reckless like that. You're driving the wrong way down a one-way street. you can get schmucked by another car coming the other way. Now, some of you are Jews, and you know, and you're familiar with that word. You know it's not a verb. It's a noun. It means donkey dick. And this was like a really, it's a Yiddish word. This was truly a Jew's dilemma, you know? Do I take this warning and go on my way? Or do I grab tight this opportunity to be very right? I drove drunk home. That's what I did. That's the moral of the story. Cops are doing a bad job. If you guys didn't know that. That's who's ready for some more comedy? What do you think? Your next comic is super funny. You can see her on Questionable Choices on Music Choice TV. And then you can also see her at the show she hosts at this very venue. Periodically throughout the year, she hosts The Naked Show, so you should all check that out. And she is hilarious, and we're excited to have her on. Please welcome Allison Klemp, everybody.
Thank you. Hi guys, how are you? Hi, I'm Allison, and calm down. I was an accident, which my mom will emphatically tell anyone. That's not why I'm here. I'm also a blackout drunk. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, we're gonna have a fun night. I love being a blackout drunk because I love adventure, you know, and it's so hard to find that in the city, right? It's like when you black out, you wake up the next day. That's like life is giving you a scavenger hunt. And the only prize is shame. Okay? Never good. Follow-up question. Anyone here wet the bed when they were a kid? Okay. You should not admit that in public. That is very embarrassing. I never wet the bed when I was a kid because I wasn't a loser. But I've drunkenly pissed the bed as an adult. A lot. A lot. They say you always remember your first. That is not true if you are a blackout drunk. The first time I assaulted someone's bed, I was in Colorado, which is important, and it was after a party. I had been hooking up with this guy, but we hadn't fucked yet. That's important. And I woke up in his bed, and I was pretty damp, all right? And I was like, that's weird. So I got up. He's still sleeping. I was like, oh, all my clothes were wet. Like, I was like, did I fall in a snowbank? That's possible. Pants were wet, my shirt was wet, everything just soaked. Seriously, I must have fallen in a snowbank. And the thing is, the longer you try to convince yourself that you fell into a snowbank, the more you kind of know that you peed this bed. So he starts to wake up, as humans are wont to do, and I panicked, and I did what any one of us in here would do, and I straddled him, and I had diversion sex. So if I'm on top, he can't move. And then when we finished, I just laid back down over the pee. It's like I'm so hungover. I don't think I can get up yet. And then he went snowboarding. And I hung out at his house, and I washed his sheets and my clothes, and then I made his bed. And I was like, well, he's gonna think I'm crazy. But I would rather him think I'm crazy than know the truth. Am I right? Am I right? And then I dated his roommate for a year and a half. So that's cool. Fun fact, edit to that story, I did find out after talking to my ex-boyfriend a few weeks ago that they did in fact think I was crazy. They did talk about it, as roommates tend to do, and they concluded that I was crazy, so that's fun. So it worked. I also peed my ex-boyfriend's bed 5 times. Yeah. 5 times. I know, been there, right? It is 4 too many times. We all get one, you know. But it wasn't my fault, and I know that because he told me. He was like, "Hey, Allison, that's my bad. I should have made you go to the bathroom before you passed out." Yeah, you should have. Fuck. But it's like that old saying goes, you know? Pee my bed once. Shame on you. Pee my bed twice. Probably gonna let you do that 3 more times. Thank you. I went on a second date, and as it's a second date tradition, I got blackout drunk by accident. Thank you. I woke up in his bed the next morning, and I was naked, promising. I was also alone, a little weird, but I've seen romantic comedies. He's getting bagels. It's also a little wet. Not worried. Clearly, we were just like smashing so much puss, you know? We just soaked this bed in sex juice. Yeah! Fresh squeeze. Thank you. Maybe I peed this bed though. I wasn't really sure because I had to pee. And it's like that age-old question, you know, how much pee can one girl pee, right? So I did what anyone in here would do, and I smelled it. Didn't smell like anything, so I was very confused. I was contemplating my mortality in that moment, and then he just walked right in. Like, well, I think you should probably go. I'm sorry. What? I don't even remember what happened. He was like, well, we were hooking up. You got really mean. And then you peed my bed. So now I just want to do laundry. I was like, no, it's not what you think. It's just like, I'm a squirter, so you're welcome. He didn't buy it. He was like, no, you told me I suck in bed. Yeah, that is pretty mean. It's pretty mean. You can't just do that to men. But I can't stress this enough. It was not my fault. He really should have made me go to the bathroom before I passed out. I mean, probably I passed out, you know? Possibly, maybe he was just like doing his damnedest, right, to please me. And I wasn't having any of that shit. And just sumo stance his bed like, you'll never satisfy a woman. Express liquid disgust all over his sheets. Possible. No one knows. We have to check the tapes. It's fine. Now, some of you are probably thinking, Allison, you clearly have a problem. Yeah, I thought the same thing. As a matter of fact, I went to a urologist, a pee doctor, and I was like, hey, lady, doctor, I have a pee problem. I keep peeing. And she was like, well, how much do you drink? Ooh. Well, I better lowball this question. I'm gonna go with 3 times a week, 3 drinks a night, right? That sounds good. That sounds healthy. She was like, why do you feel the need to drink so much? God damn it, lady, if I had told you the truth, where would we be? She was like, well, we can test you, but you don't have a bladder problem. You have a drinking problem. And I was like, new new doctor. So I fired her, and happy to say that I, as of a couple days ago, officially 2 years pee-free. I mean, like in bed, like, so, you know. So thank you. Yeah, and I don't know, maybe, I feel like you guys might have gotten a little weird. That was a lot of talk about pee. I think you're wrong, though. And here's why. We all have skeletons in our closet, okay? Mine are just soaking wet because I peed all over them. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Alfred Clark, guys, over here all the way back.
This microphone smells like when my dad used to sneeze. He's dead. It wasn't an accident, it was a stroke. Who's ready for more comedy? Guys, this next comic, we actually had somebody drop out last second, and this guy was gracious enough to spend his Saturday night, come in last second, and write all new material for this. So please give him a big, warm round of applause. Mr. Sam Evans, everybody, let him hear it!
Keep it going for Shane, everybody. That little pants pooper. What? I'm doing piss stuff too, so it's a weird order. There were like serious accidents. Somebody lost a part of their penis. And we're closing out with like, I pee on stuff! So I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah, everybody, I was a bedwetter growing up and a pants peer. Is that the way you say it? I don't know. My brothers, I had two older brothers, I'm the youngest of three, and to give you an idea of how big of a problem this was, their nickname for me was the Pee-Pee Pants Marauder. Which is just the height of like Big Brother evil nicknamery, right? Because I loved pirates. I would have loved to have been just a regular marauder. They took something I loved and used it to hurt me. Pretty standard Big Brother move. Well played. I didn't know when I was a kid. I pee my pants all the time, and I didn't know that it was like bad at first. Like you don't know until like you experience shame. Like you see somebody else. It's like when a kid hits their head, and you learn like don't make a face because they'll know to be hurt. You're just supposed to smile. And I remember when I learned that shame, I was meeting my cousin for the first time in North Carolina. And I was like, I think 3 or 4. And I just like walked up to him in his backyard, like, here I am, but I had pissed myself. And he looked at me, he was like, hey man, did you pee your pants? And without thinking, I just go, yep, I do it often. And before I felt any shame or saw the look on his face, I just thought to myself, what an adult word I just used. Often. We're off to a great start. And then I saw his face and I was like, oh no! That's not what you're supposed to do at all! Why didn't they tell me? I just had to borrow his shorts. And I still have a problem. I really do. I have a serious problem. I pee my pants enough as a kid that I think like maybe 2 or 3 times now I've seen an adult like with a small toddler who's wet themselves and the adult is like scolding them. And I pee myself enough times that I always want to shout, "It's not my fault!" That's how many times. But it's not like that's a real pet peeve I have because it's not like they're a kid. Like I understand that you have to teach them not to do it, but don't teach them with like pain, because if you're like, I wish I could be an adult for that kid in that scenario, because I would just calmly be like, all right, why don't we take a step back and realize that nobody's more upset about this than I am. It's like you can't have like an adult reasoning there as a child. Do you know what I mean? You can't like look at me and be like, "You're right, I'm so sorry, I'm not even drunk. There's no excuse for this." So, and I was a bedwetter too. I wet the bed, which is less, you know, I mean, you're asleep. You can't necessarily control it. And I was sad as a kid because as soon as I learned to have that shame, when I was a bedwetter, I couldn't have sleepovers. I wouldn't, like, my mom would be like, "Do you want your friend to sleep over?" No, I don't want them to know that I'm disgusting, you know? Yeah, and I was like sad and lonely. And then my mom talked to my best friend Jason Rager's mom, Mrs. Rager, at church, and she came home from church one day and she was like, "Guess who I found out is a bedwetter?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah! We were gonna have so much fun." And we did, it was great. We just spent so many sleepovers just talking about pissing ourselves. That's what we. But it was nice. It was like freedom, because like I didn't, you could just be yourself. And then a couple years later, Jason Rager and I drifted apart because he got really into sports, and I, like Shane, would readily shit myself on a football field. And it's weird to look back and realize that one of your closest relationships with somebody is just because you both wet the bed. That's just like what we had in common. We're not gonna drink a liter of milk before bed for old time's sake. We went to church camp together, Jason Rager and I did, and this was around the age when we were still, I think I wet my pants, second or third grade, I was like a bedwetter, and he was too. And we went to church camp, and we roomed together, and when we went to church camp, the way the showers would work is you would just go from they had a little dormitory for all the boys and a separate one for the girls. So all the boys just crossed the street, and they had this campground shower setup. It was shower stalls, and there was a bench outside the shower stalls, and all the boys would take turns showering. And Jason Rager and I, we both wore pull-ups to bed. Which, pull-ups marketing campaign, if you don't remember, which, why would you? They marketed it this way. They said, it's just like big kid underwear. And even as a small bedwetting child, you're like, no, it's not. Okay. We know it's not, and you know it's not. And we knew that it wasn't because Jason Rager and I would both wear pull-ups, so we were boxers over our pull-ups, and we were just like real, airy boxers, so it didn't look like we were just packing 5 gallons of piss between the two of us. And we just casually stroll over with towels, like grown-up gentlemen. And then, so you would get in the shower stall, and then I would take off my pull-up under my boxers, and I would hand it off to Jason Rager, who was waiting on the bench outside. And I would wait, and I'd do the same for him, and we would guard each other from the shame of not, right? Yeah, and we're not friends anymore, so. But I was thinking, I don't. So assumingly we're just guarding other people from the truth, but if they had found while I was guarding his shit, if they had found his pull up under his boxers, I would have just hung him out to dry. I really would. It's not like I would have stuck it, they would have been like, "Oh, he wears pull ups." I wasn't gonna pull down my boxers and be like, "That's right, and me too." Yeah, looks like you're gonna have to put both of us on trial, all right? And I say, "What's wrong?" It's like a 6-year-old version of I Am Spartacus. And me, also I. When I was in 2nd grade, they had. Does anybody remember they had standardized testing, the Iowa tests in elementary school? Yeah, a couple years. So it's just your basic standardized test. I had a teacher, Mrs. Bishop. She was the one administering the test, and she let us go to the bathroom before. And I went to the bathroom before. Okay, I did. I have a small bladder. It's a problem to this day. All right, you didn't need that, but you got it. I went to the bathroom before. I finished the test early. There's still time. So I'm raising my hand. I'm looking at Mrs. Bishop, and I'm mouthing the words,
And Mrs. Bishop just looks at me like I hurt her in a former life. And in slow motion, I still remember being like. I peed my pants. And a good teacher would come around and collect your test from you. But Mrs. Bishop called you up by name to her desk. So like somebody could have forgotten who I was, but she reminded them right beforehand. Sam Evans? Oh, is that the name of the kid with sopping wet pants crying? She's like, why are you crying? She didn't even look down. She's a fucking idiot. I said I peed my pants, and she says, oh, go to the bathroom. I run to the bathroom, just my face fucking hot with tears. She said, her teaching assistant, she said, we called your mom, she's gonna bring you clothes. My mom brought her a change of clothes, she hugged me, you know, like a loving woman. I went back to class, and Mrs. Bishop, this is the gall that she had to say. She goes, you know, next time, just go. Yeah. What a bitch, right? My mother worked as a teaching assistant at my elementary school a couple of years later, and I like harbored this against Mrs. Bishop for years. I still do. And my mom said, you know, Sam, I did find out, and maybe this is you need to understand where she's coming from. That year that she was teaching you, she was going through a very, very painful divorce. And I was like, oh, why? Did she also not let her former husband? Thanks, guys. You're really nice.
Like 5 hours ago. That's incredible.
Guys, how about a round of applause for all the comics you saw tonight? Allison Clem, Molly Austin, John McCarthy, Tom Cowell, Sally Reed, us three. Come on. Mary in the booth. Mary's up in the booth.
Our next show, we're here first Saturdays of every month. Our next show is February 6th. The theme is bigotry. So
yeah.
Don't miss it. Tell your friends. And thank you guys so much for coming.
Thanks for showing up. Stay to the late night snack after us. Good night.